Welcome to On Record with TAC. In the wake of the Operation Sindoor, a bold, calculated strike by the Indian Armed Forces targeting the very heart of Pakistan's terror infrastructure, we are witnessing the unfolding of a critical moment in South Asian geopolitics. What comes next? How significant is this strike? And is this the start of maybe a dangerous escalation? To help us unpack all of this, today we are joined by someone who brings not just military experience but strategic insight. Brigadier Jagdeep Dahiya served the Indian Army for 36 years. He has been the official spokesperson of the Indian Army at the Ministry of Defense, led international defense procurement evaluations, taught strategic and financial management to senior officers, and overseen recruitment across Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh. He is also a respected voice in national security debates. Brigadier Dahiya, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sir, I will start with my first question. Sir, how would you assess the scale and precision of Operation Sindoor? This is the first time India has struck targets deep in Punjab since, we could say, 1971. What message do you think this sends militarily and diplomatically?
The basic essence of Operation Sindoor is deterrence. We want we've been scourge of the terrorism is affecting our country for very long, and we want to convey the message of deterrence to the Pakistan because it is a state-sponsored proxy war which has been brought onto India since the 80s from the time of General Ziaul Haq. And so far as the scale and the precision of the operations is concerned, India as a nation, we want this terrorism to stop, and our basic aim was the deterrence. And in that, we don't want to at the ab initio we don't want to escalate the situation. That's why the targets were very carefully chosen. That is only the terrorist infrastructure. And this was scaled up from our previous attempts at deterrence. That is, rather than just restricting our targets in the disputed area of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, we extended the envelope to the Punjab, which is the heart of Pakistan. And in in doing so, we use very precision weapons, very high caliber of technology was used because we wanted to minimize uh, casualties among civilians, and we wanted to get on with our targets without any collateral damage. And also, we have very clearly mentioned that our aim has largely been achieved, and there's been large number of casualties. You know how the family of Balam Masood Azhar and all other targets have been with precision eliminated.
Yes, sir. So, having spoken of how this was a very targeted attack and it was for deterrence, so in retaliation, however, Pakistan has resorted to indiscriminate shelling along the line of control or the LOC. What could Pakistan's strategy be as this takes the life of innocent Kashmiri civilians, or is this maybe a form of calculated messaging?
I don't think so. Any messaging is you convey by in a military conflict. You convey messages by killing civilians. Basically, it is Pakistan is in a very deplorable situation. He is in a position where to act or not to act. The dilemma is there with him. If he acts and retaliates in a militarily manner on a military targets, he is well assured that he will be given the double the punishment of what is he doing. While as he has been targeting our villages in close to the line of control and hitting our civilians, we Indian armed forces in this process have countered all this fire support means the artillery which was being used to fire onto these villages. They have been destroyed, and a large number of Paki casualties, definitely more than 10, 15 soldiers, Paki soldiers, not civilians, have been killed in this retaliatory fire. You must understand that Pakistan is in a huge dilemma. There's a crisis of leadership in Pakistan. You see, one side you will have the defense minister saying that whatever you've done is enough, please don't escalate, and we are okay with what you have done. Whereas the army chief Mullah Asim Munir, he is asking for a free hand to be given to him. Whereas that's a very, it's something like Ulti Ganga Behna. Who Pakistan army controls the nation, they don't have to seek permission from anyone. And subsequently, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has already told him that you have good clearance, you do what you feel like doing. So they are in a huge, firstly, there's a crisis of leadership there, and no one actually knows who's holding. They're just shifting the blame to each other that you have brought this onto us, you have brought this onto us, and now there's a crisis of redemption. How do they redeem themselves from this accurate and persistent attack by India in Operation Sindoor?
Yes, sir. When we speak of Pakistan, of course, we understand that there is a dilemma and also a leadership problem. And so this brings me to a more crucial question, sir, because while Pakistan is going through this dilemma, there is also a growing chatter of a possibility of prolonged escalation. And sir, from your experience, having been in this area, so what are the real threshold or maybe a minimum threshold that can trigger such a kind of an outcome? Or do you think that maybe we are nearing one where there can be a prolonged escalation or something even more intense?
I don't think so. There will be a prolonged escalation. It is not you. Some lot of your viewers and all must be drawing lessons from what happened Israel and Gaza conflict against Hamas, which is totally one force is entirely superior to another, but still not been able to do it because that's a very populated area. All the fighting is happening in the built-up areas. Whereas similarly, people also may try to bring in Russia-Ukraine war, which is a prolonged conflict. There's a thought world over that nowadays the conflicts are going to be never ending. It's easy to start a conflict, but very difficult to finish it. But you must understand the perspective. I've told you in Gaza, it's a built-up area where the battle is being fought. Here, the whatever skirmishes and whatever we do will be in open and very little in built-up areas. Russia and Ukraine context also doesn't provide much context to our situation because there's a world behind Ukraine. Whole European Union, America, till so far before Mr. Trump arrived on the scene, they've been backed by the world, whole European nations and other world powers. So that's the reason why that conflict has extended. But such a situation doesn't pertain to our context. So what I see is that it's going to be India has very clearly told them that we totally have achieved what we want. Now, onus on escalation is now totally on Pakistan. Pakistan itself, if they are sane people still existing in Pakistan and they realize the potential of their country, the potential capability of the armed forces. I do agree it's a professional army. They have reasonable resources, but no way to match Indian resources. Because recently they've exported a lot of ammunition also to Ukraine to make some money. So it will Pakistan, if saying they will not escalate it, but to redeem themselves, they might do a very restrictive action, something which is happening right now along the line of control, and maybe a very little action, say further within the restricting themselves to the state of J&K. I don't see them making a venture into the Indian in the international boundary segment. Another thing which they may do is that they may resort because they have a right to say that since the it was basically aircrafts which were used to strike targets in Pakistan, Su-30s using BrahMos and Rafale using Scalp and Hammer, and so they may like to attack a few of our bases, but they're going to fear very heavy casualties because our defense, our air defense is much supreme than theirs, and I'm sure our air force will not let them even enter our Indian airspace and will shoot them within the park territory. But that kind of a feeble attempt they can make, which they also did, if you recollect, post Balakot. But on all this while, the deterrence has been scaled up. Deterrence has to continue, and they have to be assured that if they make an attempt, they'll get double the punishment.
Yes, sir. So, sir, the ball, as I said, is in Pakistan's court when it comes to an escalation. Also, sir, given the fact that it's not just they don't just have a one front war, they also have their own insurgencies that they have to deal with. So, sir, this brings me to a question of, sir, you have seen firsthand how civilian shields are layered on top of terror infrastructure. So, sir, how effective do you think these strikes were in targeting the terror ecosystem? And has India finally hit the operational heart of these terror groups in Muridke and Bahawalpur, especially?
Definitely. It is terrorism is an ideology. You must remember that. And the ideology cannot be wiped away by a single strike of this nature. But within that continuum, we have been able to hit the targets. You see, and it is a very morale boosting. The Rauf Azhar, who was involved in IC 814 hijacking, he also has been killed. And the whole complete family of the Maulana Masood Azhar has also been wiped out. And since these were their controlling headquarters, whenever you go within the terrorism, you go for the head of the snake. So for that reason, we have definitely caused a huge dent in the terrorism effort, and the leadership is totally uh, disheartened, they're demoralized, and it will be a very long time effort required by them to really pull up this, to gain their capability, which was there initially. I can assure you, definitely in terms of tangibles, their definitely capability has come down almost 75 to 80%. In terms of maybe number of casualties is less, but the demoralizing effect which is had, you can read from the statement of which Masood Azhar said कि मैं भी चला जाता इस when our whole family has been killed. Why I'm imagine the state of mind of that person. But you must also terrorist infrastructure is one thing, but the basic now in that you've seen in that Nawaz Janaza and all when these were being buried, there were a lot of army personnel present and police personnel present. So in that also spills the bogey of Pakistan saying that these are known state actors. Definitely, they are definitely state actors, with this basically be sponsored by Pak as a nation and Pakistan Army in particular. The real hand and the terrorism is Pakistan Army. If we want this scourge of terrorism to be wiped away from the face of India and the most of the world, then the Pakistan army has to be reined in. And for that reason, they need to be given a military defeat so that they are shamed in front of their nation and so that the people start ruling Pakistan like people rule India.
Noted, sir. Sir, now this, given how the terror operators, the terror ecosystem, and is supported by Pakistan's army and the intelligence, sir, it brings me to the question of how this is being recognized globally. Because right now the problem is two front for us. One is the war that is taking place at the border, but also how the perception is when it comes to all other foreign nations. So we have
And so,
seen muted responses. Yes, sir.
yeah, Indian diplomacy has been at its best so far. And the whole, it's not just India uh, suffers from terrorism. The whole world suffers from terrorism in one form or another, and scaled up activity or little lesser activity. And everyone knows Pakistan is the global hub or center of terrorism. The complete terrorism breeds out of Pakistan soil. And their own defense minister and all, they have said you've been doing this dirty work for US and UK and other nations. And so the whole world recognize that. But you see, the major players in this international, India is not isolated. Huh? And major players are USA, who's uh, Trump has kind of dismissed this thing. We said, okay, these people keep fighting with each other, and I knew this was something of this like to going to happen. If he knew something of this like of this was going to happen, and if he wanted to stop it, he could have interfered much earlier. He would have uh, spoken in much stronger terms. So there is a tacit support from US, and our NSA has also been speaking to the NSA of theirs, and everyone has said okay, they are against terrorism, and everyone is now asking, the party line is excise restraint. Everyone is saying that excise restraint. And the Russia has also supported our effort against terrorism. And they have also asked for restraint. And no one will say, no country otherwise will say that you scale it up. The most important is China. In China's response, there is a contradiction. Though they have regretted the India's Operation Sindoor, actions taken by India to target the terrorist structure in Pakistan, but they have also asked for restraint, and they also regretted us, and they also have said that we support any battle against terrorism. So there is a contradiction. And similarly, US, UK, and all have been there lower in response, but Rafael, France in particular, is very supportive of our effort against terrorism. And of course, they will be able to sell this few more Rafales after the success of our Rafales in this operation. And coming to the Islamic countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, they have asked us to uh, exercise restraint, and not only us, they have asked Pakistan also to exercise restraint, and they have everyone supports our effort against terrorism. So, in nutshell, there are only some material, but international support. Basically, it means if they are against you, they should put some sanctions, or if they are with you, they will provide you some moral and material support. I don't think so. Even China will, which has been old ally of Pakistan, where they say the friendship is higher than Himalayas and deeper than Indian Ocean. Even they are not going to give them any material support. They are going to give them basically the intelligence or some surveillance effort. Some material help may come from Turkey, and if that starts happening, we will be well within our position because only route of Turkey is through the sea. So once our Navy blockade is in place, we will ensure that kind of effort doesn't reach Pakistan. So international environment is well under control. And yesterday only all the representatives, Indian representatives of the UN Security Council, five permanent members and other eight temporary members, because Pakistan is also a temporary member of the Security Council. So all those 13 people were called and briefed. We were briefed what was our objective and what was our method, and that's it.
So this brings me to one question of neighbors. So what, how our neighbors are treating this conflict? So on one side we have China, which is it is still more supportive or tending towards Pakistan, which is how they call themselves ironclad brotherhood, and the Chinese ambassador had met Pakistan's ambassador, and they have Pakistan's foreign minister, and they have had they've made big statements on backing Pakistan. Also, the CPAC and all, they have a lot more in terms of cooperation. Additionally, sir, we're seeing a Turkey-Pakistan axis also forming. Sir, what makes this situation unique is the fact that India doesn't have similar kind of backers, or at least that is how I would want to pick your brain a little bit more on this. That how do you see how India's neighbors are, how India is being getting treated by its neighbors?
We have to be very proactive in managing China. Rest doesn't matter. We don't need support from any other nation. It is well within our capability. We don't need any special weapons from America or Europe. So we are well, whatever we have with us, we'll be able to easily deal with Pakistan. That is, first of all, we are self-sustained. We are very self-capable. Only thing is, in respect of China is concerned, uh, in I don't think so. When that will matter only when the escalation goes up the ladder, another few ladders, when there is almost on the verge of full-scale war, then to tie up some of our forces which are along another border with China, China will if, can do some if he comes out very open, which I very unlikely to happen. But you can't eventually rule it out a possibility. But even in that context, they will be able to stabilize the situation there and deal with Pakistan in a very effective manner. But that is too far fetched at this point of time because definitely if better sense prevails over Pakistan, they will not look to escalate. If they look to escalate, they will definitely get a sound beating. And it was neighbors, Bangladesh, Nepal. I don't think so. As such, matter much. And Nepal and Bhutan have all been allying us, and so does Sri Lanka. So in this neighborhood, there is not much of issue. And internationally also, I would say we are a very capable nation. Our armed forces are very capable. We don't need any flying in of any weapons or ammunition at this point of time. And of course, we are not looking at a very extended conflict. We are looking at a very short conflict.
Sir, given your experience in procurement as well, sir, I have one question. We're taking a tangential to this. So, do you think this is maybe a learning experience for a country like China? Like maybe, do you think they're trying to maybe they are understanding how India's defenses are, or maybe what our capabilities are like, or maybe is there something there?
I couldn't get your question. Could you please be procurement? How's procurement related to this?
No, sir, my question is that given we've seen how India has conducted its strikes and the border in conflict that is going on right now, sir, do you think in some way is this maybe a learning experience for China to see what India's defense capabilities are like?
In that context, so surely, it will have definitely a deterrent effect on Pakistan, China also. They know what are capabilities, and China only issue was of terrain in the terms that we have a little difficult terrain climbing up to the plateau, and China is sitting on top of the plateau. So those who lacked infrastructure over the effort of last 2, 3 decades, I would say China Study Group recommended construction of infrastructure in 1996, 1997, and then onwards, our infrastructure has been scaled up quite a bit. Not only we can move troops faster, we can maintain them in a better manner and along complete our northern frontiers. We have seen the kind of scaled up deployment which happened in after Galwan. And all those forces are still there. They're being sustained in a very nice manner. And infrastructure has been hugely improved in terms of both airfields, ALGs, and roads. So definitely, India is no more of India of say another 2, 3 decades back in terms of infrastructure along the northern frontiers. Plus, our force has been modernizing on a very regular manner. Though, of course, the pace of modernization is not as much as desirable because our issues of related to procurement, there are huge delays, contracts get last moment they get cancelled, and then that's the reason. But we are able to match China in every way, and I'm sure this will deter to the Chinese also. You know, deterrence has got two components. One is capability, and second is intention. We have the capability. And deterrence, people get deterred when you fulfill your threats and your promises to our Prime Minister, our Home Minister, our complete political hierarchy has been making these threats and promises, threats to Pakistan and promises to the nation that we will avenge this. So that's what deterrence is all about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, this just brings me to one of our final questions, sir. Sir, we have seen how India has done its messaging. So, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that India has acted to preempt, respond, and deter, which is essentially what you also mentioned about the two components. Sir, how do you interpret this language in diplomatic terms? Also, how we had two women armed forces, force officers who were at India's official briefing, Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. So, sir, how do you think India has communicated its operation effectively to the citizen and to the world?
Definitely, we have, actually, what in all those press briefings in the at the for the as far as the military operations are concerned, be of military means Indian Army, Air Force, and Navy all put together. The military operations. In such press briefings, you only say uh, uh, what happened and when it happened and where it happened. How did you do it? Is a different is in the domain of confidentiality, because then if we tell about our methods and what weapons were used and all, so that should stay in the confidential mode. Nicely conducted briefing where we only told them, "Okay, what all we struck these 9 camps and this was the timing of the operations and where all the camps are and what strikes we did." So it was very good. Insofar as bringing those brave, valiant lady officers into the scheme of things, I think there was a political messaging towards the nation as well as the international community, because a lot is being read into that. Uh, it was one that Himan, she lost her husband, and the terrorists told their wives, then go and tell Modi. Yeah? So now, through the ladies, the messages were being conveyed to Pakistan and the nation. So that was the optics part of it. And otherwise, uh, rest all is under well under control. They were just the messengers. But otherwise, the things are military operations have no bearing on such a thing. But they will be continue to be conducted in a very professional manner.
Yes, sir. Sir, now this brings us to one of our final questions because we spoke of messaging. What is your message to the citizens and our viewers who are watching, and also, sir, the youths and the families with loved ones in uniform?
I would say that every when you go into conflict, it is not just the armed forces, army, air force, and navy which is participating in the conflict. There has to be whole of a nation approach. First of all, it is a whole of a nation approach. There is all the even the paramilitary forces have to participate in a great manner, because all the border areas have to be secured. The villages, we must ensure that the villagers do not suffer because of any indiscriminate firing by the Pakistan. And secondly, as and when the situation, if and when it may escalate, then the citizen must act responsibly, like the presently mock drills and which are being held. They must take them seriously. It is for their benefit, and it should happen that they take it lightly. And our message to them is, your armed forces are strong and will protect you through and through, whatever the situation we may be in. And be rest assured, India will be giving a military victory to this nation as big as and make them more proud than even 1971 war.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So that brings us to the end of our interview, and thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so much for answering all of our questions. Sir, the way we see this issue is continuously evolving. There's been a lot of information, disinformation. We're trying to bring out all perspectives for our platform, and thank you so much for being a part of us, part of this.
And just one more point you can add for the nation and people, that it's no more, they should be very aware of the propaganda machinery, and they should not believe in the reels and social media has got so much I would say stupid information traveling. They should not believe in it unless they must believe in what the official spokesperson or the government of India says. You must believe in your government and not what anyone else says, be even in any media house or anyone or international or Indian media. And similarly, they must start look forward to protect themselves against any cyber attacks, and they should be well aware of it.
Yes, sir. Noted, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Yes, thank you so
Take
much,
care.
sir.
Bye-bye.
Stay tuned for more such information and insights at the Asian Chronicle.